You know you need to do that specific task, but you can't seem to bring yourself to doing it. It's hanging over your head, but you distract yourself with other things rather than just getting it done. Why do we do that? Why do we procrastinate? In today's episode, we'll discuss procrastination and look at ways of overcoming it.
Welcome to the Jesus People Sisterhood podcast, a place where Christian single women aged 50 plus connect. I am your host, Janine Jordan, a Christian confidence coach and leadership mentor in Alberta, Canada.
And I'm your co-host, Ellie McCormick, a Christian longevity coach and mentor in the USA. Being single women over 50, we know what it's like to feel overlooked, to have unrealized dreams, to experience the challenges of singlehood, and to be concerned about what our future will look like. We couldn't find anything online for single Christian women over 50, so we created Jesus People Sisterhood just for you, a place where sisters encourage and empower one another through the last third of life, because you are a treasure trove of wisdom and of exceedingly great value. This is an authentic community, a supportive family, with other women on the same journey where Jesus is the center of it all. Here you will find real talk, real community, and real sisters.
Join us as we discuss building relationships, whole health, and growing spiritually. We'll review helpful books and articles, chat with guest speakers, share success stories, and have some laughs along the way. So grab your favorite beverage and we'll get started.
Welcome, sisters, to this episode of the Jesus People Sisterhood podcast, the only podcast specifically for single Christian women over 50. Today, we give a shout out to our sisters in Florida. Thank you for listening. Today's episode is about a topic many of us struggle with: procrastination.
But before we get to that, we want to mention our Amazon show note links. It's a blessing to provide this podcast for free, but it does cost us to produce Jesus People Sisterhood episodes. So it would be a great blessing to us that if you decide to buy a book mentioned in the podcast, you purchase it through the link in our episode show notes. We're also excited to tell you about a new feature we'll be doing at Jesus People Sisterhood. We want everyone to get to know our listeners, and so we'll be doing listener spotlight episodes. If you'd like to share your testimony or what the Lord is doing in your life currently, please contact us at support@jesuspeoplesisterhood.com. We would love to have our listeners come and share with the sisterhood. And now, let's get to today's episode.
The reason I decided to do this episode on procrastination is because it has been a real struggle in my life. I just struggled to get certain things done, especially anything that involves me writing or creative ideas and just writing those things down. So the weird thing is I don't struggle with getting tasks done generally. Like I don't have trouble cleaning something or doing the dishes, stuff like that. It's just certain activities that I seem to have this aversion to.
Right.
And in the recent past, I've just seen all these social posts, and then I read some articles, which there'll be links to these articles in the show notes or some of them, that procrastination can be a trauma response, which I've wondered about. Like, well, is that what's going on with me? I know I'm not the only one who struggles with this. So in this episode, we're going to explore this topic a bit and hopefully start each of us on a journey to overcome procrastination, especially when it comes to hindering us from accomplishing what the Lord is calling us to do. I think a lot of times that is what procrastination is. It's a tool to keep us from doing the most important things that God wants us to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, here's a definition of procrastination from the article, What is Procrastination? Why We Keep Putting Things Off Despite the Consequences by Kendra Cherry, who has an MS Ed at Very Well Mind. Procrastination is the act of delaying or putting off tasks until the last minute or past their deadline. It's not just a time management problem. Researchers suggest that it's a failure in self regulation that leads us to act irrationally. We've all been there.
According to this article, some causes of procrastination are one, believing we need to feel inspired or motivated to work on a task.
Mm.
Two, the present bias. And that's the name of it, the present bias. And
Okay.
it means that we tend to be motivated more by immediate gratification or rewards than we are by long-term rewards. I mean, that's like 99% of the population. And this is why it feels good in the moment to procrastinate. And number three is depression. Feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, and a lack of energy can make it difficult to start and finish the simplest task.
Mm.
Depression can also lead to self-doubt. When you can't figure out how to tackle a project or feel insecure about your abilities, you might find it easier to put it off. I can definitely relate to that.
Mhm. Okay. Well, there's also obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, which causes fears about making new mistakes, doubts about whether you're doing something correctly, and worry over others' expectations of you. People with OCD can also often have a propensity toward indecision, causing them to procrastinate rather than make a decision. And that was number four. And number five is ADHD. Many adults with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, are also distracted by outside stimuli as well as internal thoughts. And it can be hard to get started on a task, especially if that task is difficult or not interesting to you. Man, I can really relate with that. And then there's the idea that procrastination is a trauma response. Hmm.
Yeah. It's easy to label procrastination as a lack of discipline or motivation. And I think that we all struggle with that. Like we're lazy, right? I'm just lazy. But in reality, it often stems from deeper struggles.
Mhm.
Neuroscience has shown that procrastination is tied to our brain's response to perceived stress. So when we're faced with a task that feels overwhelming, our brain may activate the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for fight or flight response. And instead of tackling that task, we avoid it to seek temporary relief from the anxiety it causes. But here's the twist. So, procrastination isn't simply a bad habit. It could be a trauma response.
Hmm. All right, so let's talk about the trauma connection. For individuals who have experienced emotional wounds, whether from childhood, relationships, or personal failures, procrastination can develop as a defense mechanism. If, for example, someone grew up with excessive criticism or the fear of failure, they may hesitate to start tasks due to internalized anxiety. The subconscious logic goes, if I don't start, I can't fail. Ah, perhaps you found yourself putting off important tasks because deep down you fear rejection, failure, or judgment. If that sounds familiar, know this. Avoiding something doesn't heal the pain, it prolongs it. But it's easy to sit in that gap for a while. There's a connection to hypervigilance, which is a trauma response where a person views relatively safe experiences as threats. With hypervigilance, you're scanning the environment for threats. You're in fight or flight, and it takes a lot of brain power and drains your energy, and you can't focus on the task at hand. Hmm.
Yeah, I think that is one of my struggles is that I'm worried about all that I have to do. Because the tasks I avoid are things where writing, things that take a lot of brain power and focus.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that I procrastinate about because I think it means that I have to just focus on that instead of looking at, "Oh, I've got all this other stuff to do." And
Yeah.
so then I don't. it's just really hard for me to focus, to take that brain power and that energy and just focus on one thing. So I can see that definitely.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's the same thing for me. I feel like it's very difficult to sit down and do the things that require that focus that's just so centered on getting one task done, but that task requires everything that I have to do it. I can
Mm.
understand too. Yeah.
So in reading about procrastination and trauma, I've just come to realize that procrastination is a stress response for me.
Hmm.
I have a lot of stress in my life, and I struggle to focus on something that takes a lot of my brain power. And I think it's because I'm overwhelmed by worries and, again, all the things I need to do. And I'm really trying to calm myself,
Mhm.
trying to lower cortisol.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the major things I'm working on in my life right now. I kind of operate like the debt snowball that Tracy Latona talked about in episode 45. So I have some task or project that requires me to really focus and write or create something.
Hmm.
And I feel overwhelmed by that because I can't just do it, right? I can't just sit down and, oh, I've written it and I've got it done.
Right.
I know it's going to take a longer period of time and I have to really think about it. And maybe something halfway decent is going to come out. I'm going to write something halfway decent, maybe not. So
Right.
I just rather go do some menial tasks that
Hmm.
take a shorter period of time and they don't require much thought. And then I feel like I've gotten a lot of things done, right? Oh, I got this cleaned and I went to the
Right.
store and I went to the gym
Yeah.
and I just want to focus on the smaller, easier to complete tasks, like, excuse me, like the smaller debts that can be paid off more quickly in the debt snowball, right?
Right.
Only
Yeah.
for me, the problem is that working on the smaller, easier tasks keeps me from making the minimum payments on the bigger tasks.
Right.
Like in the debt snowball, you're still making minimum payments, so the other debts are going down. In my case, it's like the bigger debts never get worked on.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Sure. So, what about overcoming procrastination? Delaying tasks only leads to more stress and anxiety, which makes it harder to reach our goals. So, how do we overcome procrastination? We find in Psalm 34:18, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Thankfully, God sees our struggles and He offers healing, not just from procrastination, but from the fears that drive it. As Christians, we know the first thing to do is take it to the Lord in prayer. Tell the Lord what you're experiencing and ask Him for insight on why you procrastinate and how to overcome it. And I think that that's where we have to start, right? Before we have to do the task, we just need to pray, Lord, show me the wisdom on how to do this and how to do this well. We often do this at work when we gather with teachers and we have something large to do that we all need to do together. And we will pray about, show us the insight, show us ways where we can cut corners, show us ways where we can focus on the things that need to be done. And I think that that's a good place to start.
Yeah, I think at the verse, commit your way to the Lord and he will do it. I do that every morning. Is I
Hmm.
commit that day to the Lord. I commit everything to the Lord
Right.
because I'm incapable on my own.
We all are. Yeah.
And the following information is from the skilledwork.org article. What does toxic stress and trauma have to do with procrastination? One practical method for overcoming procrastination given by Steve Carr, a mental health professional, is one, create a list of activities that you do to avoid tasks, like play video games, eating.
Mm.
Probably not a lot of our ladies play video games, but scroll social media maybe.
Yeah.
Watching TV, shopping, etc.
Hmm.
Then number two, when you start thinking about or doing one of these activities just mentioned, ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid? Three, think about the task you're avoiding and acknowledge the emotions you feel. anxiety, frustration, overwhelmed, shame, anger, etc. I know for me it's like anxiety and overwhelm. And then just allow yourself to sit with those feelings. Number four, just do it, like Nike.
Right.
If you
Right.
can start the task right away, great. If not, make a specific plan for when and how you will complete it. Acknowledge your anxiety and push through it. And then number five, which I think is a really good one, is reward yourself with something harmless from your avoidance list after
Mm,
completing the task. So if
right.
I do this, then afterward I can look at my Facebook or whatever it is,
Right. Right. Yeah.
or I can watch that TV show or streaming show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, here are some additional strategies that help overcome procrastination. And I think we've talked about this before. Break down tasks, break down your tasks. Breaking larger tasks into smaller, more manageable ones can make them less overwhelming and easier to tackle. By dividing a daunting task into smaller steps, individuals can maintain a sense of progress and accomplishment along the way. And that's I think something that we're taught, even everyone's taught to try to break it down into smaller steps. And I think that that actually does work.
Yeah,
But you
that's
have to still get to the heart of the matter, right?
right.
So, and
That's
then
my biggest issue, I think. Right.
yeah.
Because it's like you keep putting something off because you don't even know where to start.
Right. Right. How do you eat the elephant one chunk at a time, right? Or
Right.
yeah.
But where are you gonna, what chunk are you gonna, where's the first bite gonna be?
Right. Right. Yeah, and I guess if you map that out, then that's a good thing. I think personally, just start somewhere and make the first stab at it. And then success comes with and your feeling of confidence grows as you at least get one thing done. But there is always that inside task that's the most difficult to do. But at least if you make a step forward, you feel like you're gaining some sort of progress. So leverage optimal times. Pay attention to personal energy and focus patterns can significantly enhance productivity. And I think that's true. We can all identify patterns in the day when we are better suited to getting something done. Don't leave the really daunting, heavy tasks for a night, if you're not a night owl and if you're don't just work out, if you don't feel like it right after work, maybe you're exhausted. So pick a time when you have the highest energy level and you're able to concentrate. I think that if I had to do some heavy writing, for me, it's probably the writing component is when it's quiet and I like to do it in the early evening. But others may have something else that they like to do in that time. Another strategy from the book Atomic Habits is to just commit to doing something for 2 minutes. And if you only do it for 2 minutes, then you got 2 minutes done. And often, if you can do something for 2 minutes, you find that you can go longer than 2 minutes. I
Right.
think with working out too, that can be something, right? Where you just lift that weight for 2 minutes and then you can maybe do it a little bit longer later. So, yeah,
Right. I
find the
think
time.
that's when I read that in Atomic Habits, I'm like, this is a great strategy
Yeah,
because
yeah,
everybody feels like, well, I can do anything for 2 minutes, right?
right.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe not anything, but a lot of things.
right. Yeah.
Proverbs 16:3 tells us to commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plan. So when you start a task, begin with prayer. Invite
Mm,
God into your work, whether it's writing a book, studying for an exam, or managing household responsibilities. And another good thing is seeking accountability can be a great help. It's one of the
mm,
benefits of friendship and community, which we definitely want to encourage our ladies to pursue. Ecclesiastes 4:9 through 10 reminds us of the strength of community. Two are better than one. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. So find a friend, mentor, or prayer partner who can encourage you when you struggle. Janine, you
mhm.
want to be my
Sure, Ellie.
accountability?
You just call me when you feel like procrastinating. Yeah. And
So,
I'll do the same. Yeah.
so let me ask you, what What things do you procrastinate about?
Oh my goodness. They are silly things. They're silly things. And they pile up. Okay. So the dishes. I have a thing about the dishes. I allow myself to put dishes on like the side. I don't have a dishwasher. So I allow my dishes to pile up on the side of the sink. And when it gets to a certain, it's terrible. When it gets to a certain height and I can't find another dish, I'll do them. But I know and I keep telling myself that, you know what? Just take that dish and go and do it. Just do it right away and then it'll be done. But oh no, I come back in the kitchen and there it is. And it becomes more and more daunting as the dishes are just about hitting the ceiling. And I have put my dishes when people are coming over, Ellie, this is just between you and me. I have put them actually in the fridge
Well,
in
now
into
now a
into
lot more
the
people
oven.
are gonna know.
I hide those dishes. So don't come when you're coming, don't come and look. So yeah, for
Okay,
me,
so
it's the
where are you
dishes.
hiding them?
I said like in the oven. And
Oh,
sometimes
oh,
in the
I heard people
yeah,
do that. I've
I know.
heard
And I'll
some people
put them
put
in
it
the
in like the
freezer if I have
bathtub.
to. Yeah, I know. Crazy. Bathtub. Oh, I have done that. I have actually filled up the bathtub. So there you go. It's me. Now you know I'm a closet undish doer. I don't know. No.
So why do you think that's difficult for you? What do you
You
think is
know, I think it's just because I am well, at first I don't maybe think about it till it actually piles up. But then it's just like this stubborn little thing inside of me that just doesn't want to do those dishes. And then I have to pretty much tell myself I'm going to have to do it. And that's it. So yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if that's a trauma response or something. I think that's for me personally in that instance, it's just me being lazy and I just need to, get on with it. But I'm sure there's other things that people do that are for different reasons for sure. Yeah. That's
Hmm.
just one of my things that I
It's interesting to think about, okay, to identify what things you procrastinate around.
mm,
And don't, not just tell ourselves, oh, I'm just lazy. Because
mm,
there's things that we do not procrastinate about, right?
that's true.
I mean, well, let me put it this way. There might be some lazy people out there, but I think most of us, it isn't laziness. We
Mm,
say that to ourselves, but
mm,
it's those specific things that for there's some kind of block, there's some kind of thing going on as to why we don't want to do them.
hmm hmm Right. Well, like I agree with you 100%, some of those things, but in that case, I think it's just I just don't want to do them. I don't enjoy doing them, and it's just something that I put off. But I think that there's some things like writing, some things that are maybe a little bit more difficult to do that could be, yeah, we're just being interfered with, or it is something that we have a fear of failure. We have a fear of not being able to, do the task well, or there can be a lot of things that get in the way of that. Yeah.
Mhm. I think, and I've heard this talked about before, is that something that you've been like criticized about.
Mm.
And so then after that, it's
Yeah.
like you have a bad feeling about it, so you don't want to do it, right?
Right.
Like somebody says something bad about your cooking or the way you do your hair or
hmm
something, and then it's kind of,
hmm
okay, well, then I'm not going to do that.
hmm Yeah. Well, I think I guess we have to look to who we're pleasing to. I mean,
Mm.
we have to say, okay, and it can be difficult, but we can. Who are we trying to please? Who are we trying to serve, I guess, and we can say that too. I think that if you feel that you're procrastinating due to a trauma response, probably the thing to do is to go and see somebody, a counselor, go and work through that. I think for some things we just know we should do them, and it's time to step out and actually do them. So uh, I guess that's something you should pray about and something you can talk to your coach about or talk to, like I said, a counselor about. And I think it was a really good uh, topic today, Ellie. And whether it's due to the world, the flesh, or the devil, procrastination keeps us from accomplishing what the Lord has called us to do. And it can wreak havoc on our lives spiritually, emotionally, financially, and physically. And if we don't stop it, we we maybe won't see the rewards that we could. And so, but it's very good, I think, to take time to reflect on it and to try to understand why we do what we do.
Yeah. Because I really feel that, again, whoever you want to blame for it, is that in some sense it's keeping us from doing what God's calling us to do. Because usually the things that we procrastinate, they're important. That's why we have to do them. We don't procrastinate about something we don't have to do.
True.
So it's something that God wants us to do. So it's an important thing to overcome. So ladies, I hope this episode blessed you. I know it blessed me in preparing it and finally addressing my issue with procrastination and just finding strategies to overcome. God
Yeah.
bless.
Hey, Ellie, I think I'm going to go do the dishes.
Okay, God bless. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please share any thoughts that resonated with you from today's podcast episode in our private Facebook group at Jesus People Sisterhood Community. Start reaching out to other single women and create your local group of Jesus People Sisters. Please let us know about your group to add to our directory by contacting us at support@jesuspeoplesisterhood.com.
Have you had a good experience with a business? They've treated you honestly and helped you at a reasonable price? Please let us know. We would like to start a directory of JPS friendly businesses. Let's care for one another.
Be blessed by him who is able to protect you from stumbling and to make you stand in the presence of his glory, blameless and with great joy. Until next time. Hey, sister, before you go, thank you for listening. If you found value in today's podcast, the best way to say thank you is by leaving a 5-star written review at Apple Podcasts. That raises us in the rankings and helps other sisters find us too. And please tell a friend or post it on your social media. If you're a single Christian woman over 50, this podcast was created specifically for you. The Jesus People Sisterhood is your community to find support and friendship with other sisters who can understand. Be sure to follow us on your podcast app and join our free private Facebook group at Jesus People Sisterhood Community.
Jesus People Sisterhood has also started a private Facebook group for housing and co-living opportunities. You can check that out at Jesus People Sisterhood Senior Housing. You can also find us on Facebook at Jesus People Sisterhood and individually for Janine at riseupcoachingandconsulting.com and for Ellie at samaramountain.com. And ladies, this is the necessary disclaimer. Our podcast content is for informational purposes and does not constitute professional advice for mental health, medical, legal, financial, or other areas. The opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host. It is our heart that this podcast will be a blessing to you. Together, let's build a powerful sisterhood with Jesus. Make a friend, add a sister, across the border and around the world.